John Balginy, he is a Hall of Famer. We can call him now. We're in the presence of a Hall of Famer, Ajay. Just recently inducted into the Idaho Falls Professional Baseball Hall of Fame. John has called over 1,000 baseball games for the Idaho Falls Chuckars. He sat alongside a great play-by-play man for many years. And John has taken over those duties and over the last little while. And you can also hear him on ESPN Sports Radio in Southeast Idaho. And John Balginy joins us now on the Full Court Press. John, thanks for your time today.
Hi, John.
Hey, guys. How you doing? How's things in Logan?
Cold and wet.
Cold and wet.
It doesn't feel like June 30th, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, same here, that's for sure.
Now, this normally would be about the time where the Idaho Falls Chuckars would be doing some things, but on a normal, regular year, but it's not happening. And not only is it just been delayed, now today we find out the whole season is going to be canceled.
Yep, the official announcement came today that there will be no minor league baseball anywhere in the United States in 2020 due to the pandemic. And, of course, the Idaho Falls Chuckars, last year's Pioneer League champs, are looking forward to defending that title. It's not going to happen, and of course, there's a chance they might not have any baseball next summer in 2021. And, we've had professional baseball here in Idaho Falls since 1940. So 80 years of professional baseball all wiped out this year due to the virus, and perhaps next year due to the greedy owners of the Major League Baseball. I'll get that off my chest right now.
Yeah, well, minor league baseball's had its own issues before this pandemic hit. There were discussions about trimming how many teams would be available and would participate, and the plight of minor league baseball has become more pronounced over the last 6 to 8 months. It seems like, even before this virus hit.
No doubt. There are currently 160 minor league teams across the nation, and if Major League Baseball gets its way, 42 of those teams will be no longer affiliated with Major League Baseball, and that includes all 8 in the Pioneer League, including the Ogden team and the Orem team. So, it's not a good thing. The future's not looking bright.
What are the feelings? I know you stay close to the players and managers and the staff. What are the feelings from the minor league guys right now who lost their season and aren't going to get that financial income? You have major league players complaining about not getting an extra $1 to $2 million. These minor league players are getting completely robbed of not just a season, but financially as well.
That's true, but there is one silver lining. The Kansas City Royals, I think one of only 2 or 3 major league teams, they did not release any players. They're going to pay their players through the month of August. So hats off to the Royals. I think again only 1 or 2 teams did that, but they did not release anybody. They've kept everybody on the payroll. So at least the Royal minor leaguers will be treated the right way.
John, we were discussing this before we had you on. Major League Baseball has a farm system unlike anyone else. A way to develop players to get ready for the big leagues. Right. NBA has its G League. It's a developmental league. It's growing. It's improving a little bit here and there. You see a few guys that spend time there, then make it into the NBA, but they really don't turn out to be too big of a star. But for Major League Baseball, everybody goes through the minor league system. Do they really need that many layers of a developmental process before you get to the major league system?
Maybe not, Eric. Maybe 160 teams, 6 different levels, maybe too many. But I was just reading some stuff today, and the new current Chicago Cubs manager David Ross, a former Major League Baseball catcher, he said that he valued his time in the minor leagues on long bus rides. It builds character, and he says even though maybe 10% of the kids in the rookie league or maybe 5% make it to the bigs, he says the situation of growing up in the minor leagues, learning the ropes was far more important than, just going right to the major leagues. So, not only is it tough for, communities that have lost jobs, et cetera, but, even these former big leaguers who are now managers, they enjoyed their time in the minor leagues, and they said that it's going to be a shame if these teams are cut.
I know it's kind of a personal opinion, but do you think this major league thing can work out for 60 games without any hiccups?
Personally, I don't think so. I mean, already guys are opting out. Ian Desmond, the Rockies said, "Hey, I'm not going to play baseball this year. It's more important to be a dad." I've heard that some of the players, if their wives are pregnant, they're not going to play because due to the fact that hey, this COVID thing's so out of control. So, personally, I'm a huge baseball fan, but not impressed with the 60-game schedule, and I think we're going to see some of the big names opt out and won't even be playing this summer.
For a guy like yourself, who you love baseball, you've called a lot of games, what kind of summer is it going to be for you?
Well, luckily, I've been doing some American Legion baseball on the radio here in Idaho Falls. And
Oh, wow.
you might say, then, no big deal, but the Idaho Falls Bandits won the national championship last year in American Legion baseball. It's a good program. So, folks were asking me all winter, or when this COVID thing hit, are you excited you're going to get to do some American Legion ball? And I said, well, yes and no. I mean, it's baseball, granted, but it's not professional baseball. But at least I can go to the ballpark every couple of days and call some games. So I'm happy with that.
And you can hang out on the Jim Gar Show broadcast booth. That's always a good time.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I've spent 35 straight summers there at that ballpark, and if I didn't have anything to do this summer, it definitely would have been a big loss.
John Balginy, the radio play-by-play voice for the Idaho Chuckars, and of course, spit shine with the title of being a Hall of Famer, joins us here on the Full Court Press. John, I got to ask you, you talked about the 35 summers that you spent and all the great games you called. Can you talk about some of the great players you've seen come through the system?
When I first started, we were with the Atlanta Braves, and not too many. The Braves sent us some bad players. I mean, not a lot of kids made it to the big leagues, but of course, Billy Butler, all-star of Kansas City, he started his career in Idaho Falls, and in fact, most of the Royals that won the 2015 World Series, Eric Hosmer, Mike Moustakas, Salvador Perez, all started their careers in Idaho Falls. So it's pretty neat to watch these kids start as 16, 17-year-olds, and then 5-6 years later you see them in the World Series. So those are some of the big names.
That's cool. Didn't Jose Canseco spend some time in Idaho Falls once upon a time?
Jose Canseco, yep, he played when the Oakland A's were in town back in the early 80s or late 70s, and I understand he wasn't a good fielder then, and he still isn't a good fielder.
What about on the opposing? Go ahead.
No balls went off his head here in Idaho Falls.
What about on the opposing side? Some of the guys who've on opposing teams, who's the best player you've seen come to Idaho to play the Chuckars?
Wow. I'd have to think of that. There's been quite a few. Adam Dunn, who hit a lot of home runs with the Reds. He was in Billings. The Ogden Raptors, they're loaded every season. I mean, Corey Seager played in Ogden. Pretty much most of the Dodgers that are in the majors now started their careers in Ogden.
Wow, that's interesting. So so this season is done, but as you said, there's a real threat that the whole Pioneer League could be kind of cut away from Major League Baseball. Would they form just a unique, their own independent league, or do those teams just fold up shop?
Well, it's funny because, of the 8 teams in the Pioneer League, I would say 4 probably make good money and, are in the black every year. Idaho Falls, Ogden certainly, Billings, and probably one of the teams in Colorado. But if the Pioneer League goes away and Major League Baseball, contracts the team and they're no longer, there's a couple of ideas. Major League Baseball has said there's a chance they could have somewhat of a dream team where they wouldn't give us players, but they would give us some money to operate, and but all the salaries and stuff would be basically on the owners of the local teams to burden, and that's a chance. Maybe they've talked about maybe an all-college, all-wood bat league like they do back in the Cape Cod League back east. So, talking with Kevin Green, the president, and here in Idaho Falls, he says he feels good. There's going to be baseball next year, but it looks like maybe not professional baseball.
John, I grew up listening to Steve Klauke's voice of the Salt Lake Bees, and I had a chance to work with him for 3 years on the radio broadcast producing side of it, and fell in love with the relationship I had with him. Who are some of the broadcasters as you were growing up and that you listened to that helped you really get into broadcasting?
I think I'm not a Dodger fan, but Ben Scully. I mean, you can't beat the voice he had, and he worked solo all those years. Most announcers have a color man, but Ben Scully, the guy from Detroit, God, his name escapes me right now, but I listen to a lot of Vin Scully, and we had some pretty good broadcasters in El Paso, Texas, where I grew up, and that's where I sort of got in, fell in love with baseball. And that's another thing, Eric. We lose. If the team goes away, a lot of local jobs are gone, and I think Idaho Falls last year gave some $800,000 back to nonprofit organization. That's all gone, and plus the little kids. They come to the games and they see these kids play, the professionals. And if that goes away, who can afford to drive to Denver or Seattle to watch baseball? I think it's really going to hurt the entire baseball world.
Yeah, that's a great point. I actually was thinking of that earlier today, that for a big portion of the United States, if you want to experience baseball at a professional level, by and large, it's going to be at a minor league park.
Yeah, I mean, it's affordable. It's a family fun situation, and especially towns in the Pioneer League. I mean, we're a long ways away from any Major League Baseball club. So, I think if Major League Baseball takes away these 42 teams, I think it's going to hurt them in the long run as far as, getting youngsters into baseball.
Well, it's an interesting announcement today. I think we all kind of saw it coming. It just became official today.
Yeah. And I don't know why they waited so long. I mean, there have been clubs that have kept people on salary hoping, but I think this thing could have been made maybe a couple of months ago when the whole COVID thing hit. But, it is what it is. And as far as Major League Baseball, it's 60 games. Yeah, it's baseball, but I don't know if I'll be watching a lot.
I would assume that the players, and maybe even some of the coaches, managers with the Chuckars, were they even in town? Have they even been anywhere near Idaho Falls?
No, they were in Arizona at spring training when this whole thing sent, and then Kansas City, the Royals just sent everybody back home to where they live in the off season. So we had nobody in town. Our season doesn't start till usually mid-June. So we saw nobody, and it's just it ended just like Rudy Gobert. You blame him; he got it, and everything else.
That's right. He shut it all down. The biggest defensive move ever.
Sports down. Yep.
Last question for you. I don't know if you've heard through your through your connections with the Chuckars, but I'm assuming that baseball will still need some kind of mechanism to call guys up for replacement if somebody gets hurt, or to send guys down for rehab. Is that just at the AAA level, or are they just going to have like camps, designated areas where they can just work on things until they're ready to come back? Have you heard how that might work?
Yeah, normally each Major League team has a 40-man roster, okay? So this year, each team has a 60-man roster. They're going to allow, I think, 30, 35 with the team, and then the other 25 will continue to work out probably at their spring training locations. And then if, somebody gets hurt, they can move them up. But, so each team will have 60 men practicing and playing baseball this summer. But other than that, everybody else is just, I guess, on their own.
Wow. Crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy times, Eric, no doubt.
Yes.
Well, Mr. Balginy, thank you so much for your time. We greatly appreciate you. We wish you the very best, and we hope to do this again soon.
Hey, guys, keep up the good work. And, by the way, this Hall of Fame thing, I always say, if you're around long enough, they got to give you something.
Hey, really, what was?
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was asking, what was that like to be announced, to hear the words Hall of Fame with your name?
Yeah, it was a pleasure and honor. I mean, there's only 5 names that have been retired, or numbers. Jackie Robinson's one, of course, the great major leaguer. Don Werner, who was a manager for the Idaho Falls Padres. He won a couple of Pioneer League championships. Billy Butler, again, as I told, 10-year major league veteran who started his career, and then my partner, Jim Garshow, who sort of taught me everything. So there are 5 names that are up on the press box wall of the at Melaleuca Field that will be honored. And I'm just, I'm proud and honored to have my name up there as well.
Yeah, just a bummer that the ceremony took place and there weren't any games going on or any fans there to appreciate it.
Yeah, there instead of 3,000, there's about 300, but that's okay.
Well,
maybe we'll have them redo it again next year when there's more fans.
There you go.
You,
An encore
you should
performance.
request that. As a Hall of Famer, I demand this.
Hey, Mr. Balginy, again, thank you so much for your time. Greatly appreciate you. Stay safe, and we hope to hear your voice sometime soon down the road.
Hey, thanks, guys. You, like I said, keep up the good work in Logan.
All right, thanks, John. Appreciate it.